this year, we are 50 years in America since we came in 1973. We have been so busy, and we did not notice that already 50 years passed. There are quite a lot of people who passed away during this time. So we showed, in the first part of the meeting, we showed a photo of each one of them to commemorate their contribution. It was really moving. And, am I supposed to? Okay. What is this one? This one? So press this one? This one? I was so honored to lead the songs in this meeting. And Mr. Sawada, Rhode Island, he was MC, and Mr. Kobayashi, 3-7 couple, he is the real inspiration behind this meeting. Not only having this meeting, but also we collected 64 people's testimonies. It was a huge job. I mean, even publishing one person's memoir is hard work. But think about 64. I helped with my group. It is a third group to come to America. I have so much communication with each person, that back and forth, editing, correcting, choosing the right photos, and so on. And we are even translating Japanese into English. Into English and even to Korean. I mean, Dr. Young wanted to, real Korean, right? So actually, our own Michi Gordon helped a lot in Korean. Not so many people can do this. And then she became doctor of Oriental medicine in Korea, so she's excellent in Korean. Even Damian Dunkley came from Korea just for this meeting, for one day. He was attending special leaders meeting in Korea. And Bishop Kim came for one day too. Michael Jenkins, president of UPF, and Mike McLevitt, chairman of Washington Times. And Keiko Jenkins, woman in ministry, Tomiko Jogen, UPF vice president. So, some ladies are in very important positions, even though they are Japanese. Anyway. And Dr. Mikura, let's see. Dr. Mikura, who wrote the US history, church history. And his wife is one of the early members. And Dr. Ward, actually, he was the first One World Crusade member from the US. We didn't know that, but he's witnessed in France, and also he joined in France. So people thought he's a European member. He's American, and of course, Dr. Perotte, right here, is his spiritual power. And Mr. Kinuchi, Kodan leader, Dr. Shimyo, seminary president, professor, his wife is also early members too. And I specifically mentioned Mr. Nakata. He came as second group, and he is the first one to go to Leda Paragon. I had his testimony about 10 years ago, He said plainly, it is hell. Poisonous snakes, poisonous frogs and animals, no drinking water, extreme heat, day and night. But they built a wonderful training center, developed fish farming in the place nobody cared. So President of Paraguay came to visit many times because of their wonderful work. He's still there, witnessing to Guarani Indians, I guess. He's 79 years old. Can you believe it? It's him. And then his wife joined recently. She's even older than him. And Mr. Takenaka, he came as a first group of 12 members. He started a Japanese restaurant in Columbus, Ohio. He took risk each time, but he expanded from a restaurant to a Japanese grocery store and a French bakery and cultural center with high-class restaurant. You know, all the high-class politicians, people come, you want to invite them to some place great, right? So, and he made a lot of money, but he made a lot of donation to our church. And actually, we just visited Ohio, and last, 2 weeks ago, and went to his restaurant. We are so surprised. Every place was crowded with people waiting in line. I also appreciate Mr. Muto. His restaurant got a reputation of one of the best sushi restaurants in Connecticut. I appreciate all Japanese elders established a Japanese restaurant who respond to father's desire, to father's desire and direction, without any experience before. So it is amazing. Mr. Ikedo, he joined in Waseda University in Japan, where through father studied. And through father asked Mr. Ikedo to establish CAP in US. He became a student of Columbia University to establish CAP. And Mrs. Toshiko Sato, anyway, she's very close to me, that's why she took care of us in Japan when I joined in Fukushima church. Even though she lost her husband, who came as first group already long time ago, but she always taking care of people. She was a principal of Colorado Nursery. She's 79 years old too. So we are asked to give testimony of challenges and benefits of international blessing. So this is my testimony. I'm grateful that Mr. Kobayashi and many brothers and sisters worked so hard to publish our testimony of 50 years in America, make this reunion a reality. At age 18, I learned divine principle in 1967, and it answered all my questions about life. And let me realize how historical and precious time I'm living, time of second coming of Christ. I was Christian, but I never understood Jesus' life truly. Through divine principle, for the first time, I understood his life. Even though he came as the only Son of God, he was never understood by people, treated like a crazy man, and had to go on the cross without revealing deepest God's heart and his will. I could not sit still without vindicating Jesus and God's heart. After 4 years in the church, I finally had opportunity to meet true parents in Korea. It was 1971. And the true father was the most wonderful father, more than any ideal father I imagined. I could confirm my original mind, and this sealed my faith. I have never thought of coming to America. Let's see. I've never thought of coming to America at that young age of 24, nor to get married American. All the things that happened since I joined the church were totally guided by God. But somehow, He was preparing my life. I majored in English. My family had 4 generations of Christian background. My great-grandfather was a devout Buddhist, but he became Christian and built church in my hometown. It was Meiji era in Japan, after Japan opened up the country. And it is assigned now as the city's treasure in the Shirakawa city. Beautiful icons you can see was drawn by a famous Japanese artist. My grandmother was an exemplary Christian. She had a hard life, but always helped other people. And I was always with her, with my grandparents, when I was young. So, yeah, attended church together, went to trip together, all those things. And also, every year we offer flowers to graves, but my grandmother always brought so many extra ones. Nobody else gave flower, she gave to each grave like that. And my parents were always grateful to America because of America's treatment of Japan after World War II. Instead of punishing Japan, helped to rebuild Japan and encourage democracy. So, hearing that, of course, I liked America. I am so grateful to participate in the mobilization for the further speeches. Starting from Carnegie Hall, Madison Square Garden, Yankee Stadium, and the Washington Monument. And this is cleaning the people, the cleaning of the New York City, in Washington, Yankee Stadium rally. And the Washington Monument rally was total victory. 300,000 people filled the field, and the father spoke a historical message. We always worried about father's life. So I was relieved and very happy when father's speech ended. And bicentennial celebration started with the Washington Monument rally. And next day, father declared Day of Victory of Heaven. It was the same as Jesus entering Rome and declaring his message to heaven and earth. I want to talk about my matching experience. I was matched to my husband in New Yorker Grand Ballroom on May 13th, 1979. Receiving blessing was the most important thing in my life. I was already 30 years old and I could not miss matching this time. I missed some opportunities before, like to stop like 1800 couple. We went to the airport, but somebody came and no, you can't go because if you leave the country, you can't come back. things like that. So in the morning, I saw some matches that looked difficult to me. And I was worried who I would be matched to. And during that time, Father never looked at my direction. Father started matching the church leaders, seminarians, MLT commanders, captains, all the leadership. So after that, I thought the only people left are program members. I'm sorry, I felt that way, but it was true. And I felt like going through hell. This is opportunity, and I can, anyways, it was really terrible. And I felt really needed to pray. So I prayed with my spiritual daughter. In the afternoon, I realized something very important. I was worrying so much about whom I would be matched to. But this is the most precious moment that true Father will pay attention, special attention to me, and He'll find my eternal spouse. There will be no such precious time before or after this. And so I started just focusing on Father and uniting in heart with Him. I just wanted to make Father happy. Then, little after that, Father said, over 30 years old, stand up. So a bunch of people stood up, including me. Then Father searched in the crowd and brought my husband. I was so happy, I felt like going up to heaven. I felt very natural, comfortable with my spouse, like a brother and a sister. Also, Japanese brothers who are working with him told me, he is good, you will have no problem. Wow! It was very reassuring. It was no problem for me to be matched American. Most important thing was that we are united in carrying out God's will. Then we can unite totally, centered on the same purpose. I'm a kind of person who is moved by inspiration. However, I don't know how to best put it into practice. My husband is very consistent and a good organizer. He knows how to do things, how and what to talk to people. Therefore, I always check with him. Is it okay for me to do this? Could I say this to this person? If he says okay, then I can do it with confidence. So God gave me the person whom I really need. He was executive director of ICA's science conference for 18 years. He is a doer and sacrificially does difficult work or what was needed. Therefore, he is doing sub-regional HTM coordinator, that's Heavenly Travel Messiah. He spent hours just trying to, register each person. It's very difficult for all the generations to go through, right? And I'm grateful to work with him. And after accomplishing Chombo, I'm helping others to achieve it by going out together. This is science conference. Okay, I think it's in Korea. And when we are matched, we are told, let me see. Don't be Americanized, okay? And we were supposed to raise up Archangel country, America. But actually, American members who are dedicated to God's will for so long are real heroes and heroines. I really appreciate these wonderful American brothers and sisters. And this includes Europeans, Asian, African, all countries with amazing brothers and sisters. One difficulty of working in overseas was that you cannot take care of your parents and family in Japan. My father sent me off from Haneda Airport when I came to America in 1973. And then only one time we visited Japan. We are really busy with that, all the campaigns and all the things. We never thought about going to Japan that time. But it was, finally when it was 1983, 10 years later, when our first baby, June, was born. My parents were overjoyed, had a party to introduce my international family to our relatives and friends. They took us sightseeing to famous Nikko Shrine. I was a prodigal daughter from people's eyes. Still, my parents treated me like a proud daughter. How wonderful parents are. But following year, my father passed away unexpectedly. And I could not even go to his funeral because I was almost full-term pregnant with my second child, Chris. My brother has been very negative, mostly because of the bad publicity in Japan, and they are afraid of our influence on their children. But I also feel that he's angry at me because I did not do enough for my family. I was totally dedicated to the church. We used to be close. That is a very sad thing, so I'm still working to restore our relationship. And I know, no matter what, I'm doing the most important work, representing my lineage. To be able to work with true parents to accomplish God's ardent desire of us. So I will continue working until I go to spiritual life.
Okay, thank you, Keiko. I usually introduce myself as the problem member at Keiko. So bear with me. I think we were all problem members at one point. So before I talk about the challenges and benefits of international blessing, I do have to introduce it a little bit because I was there when Keiko came to America, the Belvedere Training Center, 1973. But the main reason I like to show this picture, just to show everyone that once I did have hair. And we have, this is Charlie Kamens, Jonathan Slevin, Chris Olson, Gerhard Cassell. They were on my team and really accomplished a lot for God's providence. So the interesting thing about this training was you had to be a college graduate and you had to be male to show how magnanimous we were back in those days. Later, after a few months, that changed, but they allowed women to come. But I was a few months in the church, and after about 4 months at Belvedere, I actually became the coordinator. So when Keiko's group came in June or July of 1973, I was there as the coordinator. Of course, I didn't really pick Keiko out of the crowd. but I do remember us singing the Belvedere song. So I was there when Keiko came to America. Anyway, just looking at some of the challenges, Keiko's English was pretty good. She did study English in Japan. But, Breland has an R and an L in it. See where this is going. And the Japanese sometimes have a little difficulty with that. So when she first introduced herself after our blessing, "Hi, my name is Keiko Breland." I said, "Keiko Breland? Is that, Keiko Breland." So we had to work on that a bit. Also, another challenge we had, the Japanese are really big about loyalty, and the Westerners are really big about truth. So this issue about fundraising in a wheelchair at a stoplight when you're not really disabled came to a head in our family. And just her point was you had to be dedicated or united and loyal to the central figure. And my point was, we need to be honest. And so we had many discussions about that. And I think over the time, she's come to appreciate truth more, and I've come to appreciate loyalty more. That was one interesting episode we had. Keiko is quite dedicated to our church traditions and prayer, much more than me, so I think I really benefited from that. I really learned a lot from her in that regard. This is the traditional noodle serving at the birthday. And one of the benefits of our international blessing was that our children were exposed not only to American culture, but to Japanese culture. For example, two of our children are married to Japanese. Another son works for a Japanese company. And our youngest son, Matthew, there on the left, actually knows more Japanese history than his mother. Somehow he really got into it. And on a recent trip to Japan, he brought home a souvenir, and it was a samurai sword. So he's really, really into it. I think that's it. Pretty good.
Yeah, okay. So, we, let me see. Oh my gosh. We got to have, when we attended meeting in East Garden. We stayed in East Garden. It was wonderful. And there are people who attended, these are the people who attended the meeting. When we started doing blessing people, this Margarina on that helped me a lot in giving me confidence in approaching people. She was so natural in making friends with strangers and taking care of people. We went door to door and she was talking to people like a friend. And so I asked her later, "Did you know them?" She said, "No." Okay. But she was like that, so hopefully I become more like that too. And we did street blessing, door to door, co-workers, but finally I did parking lot blessing because, try to finish up the number, it's not so easy. Anyway, just like fundraising, I thought, well, I'm old, but I guess I can still do, fundraising. I did all my life, so maybe it's okay. So I did, and then car to car, basically, And also, Mr. and Mrs. Weatherall did a lot of UPS meetings around the time and helped give blessing to people. So it was really helpful, some bunch of contacts you can bless together. And so finally finished 430 couples blessing in November 11th, 2018. That was a day before Peace Start With Me rally in Nassau, Prussia, New Jersey. And so I'd like to help people. I can be blessing to anybody. I feel like, after that, on the street or parking lot or anywhere. So winter time, laundromat is a good place. But anyway, so we did some in summer and fall. And these are people who registered to Chombo this year. They all worked hard. And also last thing, CAP is my life because I joined the church through CAP 56 years ago. And it gave me life and direction for all these years. I'm really grateful to be able to witness in UB and second-gen young people going out together. It's much easier. I go out with students, then they can trust me. I can go witnessing by myself, but it's very difficult for students, who I am, right? And so if students are together, then I'm just an advisor or something, anyway. People think I'm professor, something like that. Anyway, I'm honored, but anyway, I'm not. But so, let's see. And, I have to mention Mr. Akira is visiting here, so he's amazing. Last year, he took off from school. He lived here, right? Even though his school is in Westchester. And then he really helped a lot with Junkie and Micahs and, coming to all the meetings and preparation. I really appreciate that. And anyways, so thank you very much, Pastor Shimon and Mr. Miyazaki, for giving me this opportunity to share. Because young leaders who took responsibility to carry out God's will, and they are most precious people. I really, we'll die off sometimes, but young people that really are like we did, we are young ones, right? So anyways, so really most precious people that we like to support whatever the way we can. And thank you very much.